Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel. We are going to handle an interesting question falling under binomial. But before we start, I'm just asking for your favor. Try to subscribe to my channel if it's your first time coming across it. Try to comment, try to share with your friends for their benefits also. This kind of question is so interesting in such a way that it will just take a minimal amount of time for us to understand what is happening here. All right, the question is telling us that we have to find the value of r if the coefficient of x to the power of r, and x to the power of r plus 1 are equal in the binomial expansion, which is located somewhere there. Before I start solving, let me try to label this one to be my A. I'll label this one to be my B. Here we are going to use a very simple formula for us to understand what is happening. Remember that saying the coefficient of this one and that one, they are equal. What's the meaning of that? This actually simply means we are going to have something like this. The formula that we are going to use has to be like this. I'll say n r, then a power of n minus r, b power of r. In this case, we are going to handle it in two scenarios. I'm going to start by this one. So since we have a power of r, meaning that the value of r here won't change. If you come on this one, since we have r plus 1, definitely even here we have to include, or we have to put r plus 1. Let's start solving by observing what is happening here in reference to the equation that you have on this part. And this has to be like this now. The n you have here has to be the power, which is 19. Your a has to be like the way it is, and your b, you take it like the way it is. So we are going to handle it like this. If you start with this one, to find the coefficient for this, we have to write it like this. I'll say 19r. Then here I'm going to write it 3x to the power of 19 minus r multiplied by the b that you have, which is 2 power of r. On the first part, we are done. Then I'll try by all means to go to the second part. I'll try by all means to go to the second part. So the second part is trying to explain, or is trying to tell us something which goes like this. I'll say the coefficients are supposed to be equal, meaning that if you try to handle this one, still more we have to take the same method. But don't forget that on this part where there is r, wherever you see r, you have to put r plus 1. That's what it means. But this one will remain like the way it is. We do that. So we are going to have 19. Down here I'll put r plus 1. I'll close. Then in here I'll say 3x to the power of 19 minus, in this case where there is r, I have to put r plus 1. Multiply this by, if you come on this part, what we are going to do, where there is b here, I'll just write something like 2 to the power of r plus 1. Hope we understand how most of the times we reduce something which is written like this. If you have something like this, how do you reduce this one? Is how I'm going to reduce this part and that part also. So this one can be reduced. It can be written like this, over n minus r, then factorial r factorial. If we are able to come on that very part and we are able to reduce it like that, it's just one and the same as what I'm going to do on this part. Remember, what is inside is raised to power of 19. Even here it has to be raised to power of that. Let's try to reduce this one. I'll also reduce that one. I'll reduce this one, and I'll reduce this one. Not until we come on the final answer. All right, let's try to proceed. This is going to be written like 19 factorial over 19 minus r factorial. Then this one, r factorial. This one, it has to be 3 to the power of that and x to the power of that. So actually, we are going to see it in an easy way. But don't forget that these people are telling us that the coefficient of x and the coefficient of what x on this part, meaning that whatever we're going to come up with, if we try to expand this in reference to that and that one, it has to be the coefficient of x to the power of r. Let's hope you understand that. Meaning that our main focus here is going to be on 3 to the power of 19 minus r don't even concentrate on this one because they're telling you already to say we are looking for the coefficient of x to the power r. So don't even indicate what you're going to expand on this part. Even here, just ignore it. Focus on the coefficients. The meaning of coefficient actually simply means we have to come up with numbers. We have to come up with numbers that are going to give us solutions. All right, we proceed. We try to proceed. Let's try to proceed. So here I'll say dot 2 to the power of r. There we're going to have 19 factorial over, down here I'll say 19 minus, I'll take this entire thing to be my r, which is going to be like this. Then you put it inside the bracket, you write your factorial there. Then you come on the other part, whereby we are going to have our r here, which is r plus 1. It has to be written like r plus 1 factorial. Then dot, here I'm going to do likewise. I'll say 19 minus, if you remove the brackets that are there, we are going to have r minus 1, then dot. Remember, I'm saying just forget this, because what we are going to get on the right hand side has to be the coefficient of the same x, which is going to be raised to power of r plus 1. So just ignore this one and that one. Concentrate on the numbers. Those are what we call coefficients. All right, if we proceed with this, actually it will take us to the part whereby you say multiply this by 2 to the power of r plus 1. Okay, here we go. Let's hope you are following. All right, where we are here, I think it's very possible that this can be reduced. This can also be reduced. How can you reduce this one? We can write our next step as, say, 19 minus r factorial r factorial. This can be written like this: 3 to the power of 19 multiplied by 3 to the power of negative r dot 2 to the power of r. Okay, then what you have on the equal sign, let me try to make this paper out of this kind of clip so that I should be able to make it move. Okay, then what you have on the right hand side can also be reduced. How are we going to reduce this? If we check properly, we have a negative. The negative, which is here, multiplying by what we have inside, we are going to have 19 minus 1 minus r, say factorial, open r plus 1 factorial. We can also reduce what we have there. It has to be written like, I understand that if you subtract this one and that one, you're going to have 18 dot 3 to the power negative r. Then this one can also be reduced like that. Here where we are, I'm kind of asking for attention. Let's try to cancel out what is common on both sides. You remove this, remove that, you remove this, we remove that, remove that, we remove that. Do you know that this can also be reduced? Yes, we can reduce this one. How? We are going to have 1 over 119 minus r factorial multiplied by 3 to the power of 18 dot 3 to the power of 1. That's how you can reduce this one. Then you equate this one to, on your right hand side, actually you're going to have 1 over, here you get something like 18 now, because you subtract. That's r factorial r plus 1 factorial dot 3 to the power of 18 multiplied by 2 to the power of 1. This and that can go. Do you remember on the previous question that I solved, I explained something. If you have r plus 1 factorial, this is just one and the same as writing it like this. Hope you are able to recall this. Hope you are able to recall that. Meaning that wherever you have this, you can reduce it, you can write it like that. Try to watch the previous video that I solved a similar question. You'll be able to understand what I mean. Same applies to this one. How can you reduce this one? Reducing every number which has a factorial is more like you're subtracting by 1. We can also reduce 19 minus r factorial. This can just be written as 19 minus r, then here it has to be 18 minus r factorial. That's what I'm going to put where there is this other part. So if you reduce this, it has to be written like this: 19 minus r, then 18 minus r. Okay, so I put r, then multiply this by the 3 which is remaining, equal to, on this part, if you check, we are going to have this one which is going to be reduced like what I've written there. You have 1 over 1 minus 18 minus r factorial. Then on this part, I said we can reduce this one like r factorial open r plus 1. Remember, you multiply by the 2 which is there. Okay, allow me to cancel out what is common on both sides. You can remove this one, you can remove that, you can remove factorial, you can remove that. And this multiplied by that, we're going to have 3 over 19 minus r equal to, this multiplied by that, you're going to have 2 over r plus 1. If you cross multiply, then we are going to have 2 open bracket, let me start with 3 open bracket r plus 1 equal to 2 open bracket 19 minus r. Reducing this one, you're going to have this, and finally it has to be 38 minus 2r. Doing simple mathematics, I think it has to give you the answer as 7. Yeah, in short, that's how you answer this question. Try to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching.